I'm going to post the link for this stream over on Facebook, so this will take me just a minute, and I'll be right back. Hi, Gary. Hope you're doing well today. And I think that Clark and Kathy may be there as well, so good morning to you also. And I've noticed we've gained a few subscribers in the last week, and I suspect Bonnie's Sunday school videos have had something to do with that. 3 new subscribers, and her first video has had 40 views with an average of about 5 minutes each. So that's a good start for that. Hi, Asha. Thank you again for singing for us today. It was a lovely piece you did. I don't know if you noticed in the background in some of the views during the videos, I had a framed print related to Pentecost. It's one that I purchased last Christmas time, and then Bonnie had framed for me. See if I can hold that where you can see it. Hopefully that'll work without getting too bad a glare on it. Trying to point it in a different direction so that it doesn't. Well, maybe I have to lift it up a little higher. Because the delay, there we go. So this came from Lindisfarne Scriptorium, and I've actually put a link to it on my Facebook page. They actually have several that are related to Pentecost, and this is one of them that I liked a lot, and so went ahead and bought it last Christmas time, when I also bought one that we used for a Christmas bulletin cover. So Whoops. There we go. Lindisfarne Scriptorium, they're in England, and they do Celtic art, and very, very nice stuff. So yes, we have greetings from Clark and Kathy. Let me also ask all of you to keep Betty in prayer. She was taken to the hospital last evening and has made it through the night, but a very serious situation, and probably Amy would appreciate a call. There's been a lot going on, so just putting it out there. So. I'm getting close on having a recording appliance for Rick. I think I have all of the details on how to do it, and now it's just a matter of implementing it and making sure that it does work. And I think it'll be real simple for him to use. All he'll have to do is hit the on button when he walks in, and after an hour it'll turn off the recording, and then he just turns off the machine. So I think it'll be easy enough to do, and we can hopefully start having some music from him again. So hopefully by the end of the week I'll have that up, and then we won't have recordings from him for next Sunday, but maybe the following Sunday. So yeah, Clark and Kathy also thank you, Asha, for your singing today. I don't really know what I need to do to make this effective for everyone. I've said that I don't really have an agenda for it. I was just trying to be available for whatever conversation you all would like to have. And, it seems like after a little while, it's just been a lot of dead air. And so I don't know what to do to make it more effective. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know. He said, thank you for letting you sing. Let me put it this way. You have an open invitation, Asha. I'm glad that you're able to put the recordings together. I think you're right, Gary. I think Zoom will help, and there's at least two pieces to that. One is that it's an actual live conversation instead of some people texting and only me talking. And the other is that at least for some of us who have the camera capability, we'll be able to see one another. Those that don't have camera capability, well, at least they can join in the conversation via phone. There are some, however, who will still be left out, and I'm still trying to figure out what we can do to keep connection alive for them. An example, I had a conversation with Steve yesterday. I think you all know who I'm talking about. And he doesn't have a computer and no access to that technology. He doesn't have a smartphone. And so trying to figure out how to help him connect is a bit of a challenge. There are some others in the parish in that situation as well. And it just occurred to me that there are some who are watching this that only hear my part of the conversation. They don't even see the chat notes. I think the chat notes are only visible to those that are logged on to YouTube. So what I was responding to there was a comment by Gary about face-to-face Zoom meetings livening things up. You might be right on that, Charity. It might be possible to call in from any phone. I don't know. It's a new enough technology that I'm not familiar with all the ins and outs. Whether Steve and some of these others would be comfortable doing so, dial this number, enter this code. I can think of one person at least with the Hyattstown congregation that probably would not do it, although they do have FaceTime, which tells me that it's probably an iPad, and so now I'm wondering if iPads can connect to Zoom. So more things to explore. Okay, Charity, you said your mother has no iPhone. iPads do connect. Okay, that's good to know, Gary. So maybe we can make this generally known, because there are some of the older segment of the parish who stay in touch with their grandkids by FaceTime, and I'm assuming that's an iPad. And so that might be a way to keep them connected. Yeah. Gary, do you know if a regular landline can be used to connect to Zoom? I was just wondering if there's something about a cellular connection versus a regular landline. Like I said, it's a technology I just do not know. We make the road by walking, figuring things out as we go. Good morning, Mary. Thank you for your patience with me on that bulletin and for putting it up this morning. I really appreciate that. Okay. Everyone who can receive email. Well, that would still leave Steve out because he doesn't have email. So I know that Clark and Kathy are able to text, and so they should, well, and we've had them on Zoom, so, I know that they can. Okay. That's a good thought, and I can investigate to see if there's some webinars offered by the conference too. It's very possible that they did some, and it just was one of those things that got past me. They have what they're calling Training Tuesday, and they're doing a whole variety of things. I think this past Tuesday there was something specifically related to finance, and I'm not remembering now exactly what that was, but our finance team might want to take a look and find out what they had for Training Tuesday. You can find these via the conference YouTube channel, or you can go to the conference page, the conference webpage, and go to their I guess they call it a toolbox, a drop-down system, and find the resources that way. Might be easier just to go to the Baltimore-Washington Conference YouTube page and look it up directly that way. I don't know. But Training Tuesday, they've had a lot of stuff, and I'm just not able to participate with all of it. So. Well, I sure appreciate your help on it, Gary. This week, I just have a very few posts scheduled so far for the Clarksburg Facebook page. Normally I have morning and evening prayer, something at noontime to think about, something, by way of a pick-me-up in the morning and in the afternoon. And I only have a few posts so far for this coming week. And I'm just kind of feeling whelmed right now. This may end up, the Clarksburg Facebook page may end up going on the back burner. I posted a note on each the Hyattstown and Clarksburg Facebook pages, letting them know about the live stream that's happening right now. Doesn't look like anyone at Hyattstown has seen it yet. we've been doing this almost 3 months, and trying to maintain that consistent schedule. Facebook says that one person has seen the note at the Clarksburg Facebook page. So I don't know if posting those promo posts on Facebook is helpful or not. Kathy had sent out an email earlier this week with a link to a performance video of the song that would have been the anthem for this Sunday. And she also had a poem in that email, and she's hoping that everyone received that. There it is. Come back here to here. The anthem would have been Spirit Song, and she had a link for a YouTube performance of it, and also a PDF titled God's Miracles. It's one of her rainbow pictures with a poem that she wrote. And I've now decided that I'm getting mixed results from YouTube. I thought I had 2 weeks clear by posting in advance, testing the hymn tunes. What I did is one video with a verse or two of each of multiple possible hymns. I think there were about 20 on each of them. And, last weekend this. Neither one of them got anything flagged. So all the hymns that I used last week were just fine. But this week, when I used one of them, even though it wasn't flagged in the test video, this morning it got flagged. So I'm going to have to file a dispute on that one. Like I said, it's mixed results. I think it's helping a little, but it's not 100% effective. So I don't think Kathy can see the notes there on the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and let her know that Charity has said thank you for the music and the poem. And computers are lots of fun. When they do their job, they're great. Except you have the learning curve to figure out how to make them do their job. And then when they don't do their job, you've got all kinds of other learning to do. So Asha also thanks you, Kathy. So, I know you can't see everyone that's on the chat. My information from YouTube says that 7 people are watching, and so that means at least 2 are not signed in, or have not have not made a comment in chat. So. I mentioned earlier that it looked like Bonnie's videos were off to a good start. Her first one has had 40 views in the last week, an average of about 5 minutes per view. So that's, I consider that phenomenal, really good. And hopefully this will also continue to be helpful. And we've picked up 3 subscribers on the channel in the course of the past week. One of them is another clergy person up in the Urbana area. Rob is his name. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Not Rob, Rod. Rod Fry. I don't know if any of you know him or not, but another pastor of some of our Methodist churches up there. Was there anything that anyone would like to chat about? Been a lot in the news. Another successful space venture, and that's pretty exciting stuff. How many years has it been since we actually launched somebody into space? And dependent upon the Russian system for doing it for quite a while now. I guess maybe the next step will be going back to the moon. It is so exciting to watch those launches, and also very nerve-wracking. Whenever I watch one, I think of the one that blew up on launch. I was watching it as it went up, and saw the two. So having that come back in my memory with watching the launch, it's a little bit nervous-making. So Mary's done a lot of work on the website coming along. Appreciate all that she's put into it. I'm going to make a new intro video for YouTube, and I'll do a variation on it for the web page. Make it specific for our web page. So, thank you, Gary. I was trying to bring some of that into our thoughts and reflecting on it. So I'm glad it was helpful. It's so easy for us to talk past each other. And one of the comments I've seen has said, the problem is not having public conversation about religion and politics. The problem is that we haven't been trained how to have civil conversation about politics and religion. And I think we really should be working on that. But that's only one dimension of it. There's also the the angle of white privilege, which you just mention it and it will set some people off, which again says that we're talking past each other. And yeah. 10 years ago, I thought our nation had made fantastic strides from when I was young. And this past week, it's felt like we've been right back to the 60s. Yes. Every one of us different, like fingerprints. Have chosen to ignore their training in how to have civil conversations. I'm wondering how many have actually had any training. One of the places where it starts is learning how to listen. Listening is a lot of work. When we're listening in order to gain ammunition so that we can shoot the other person down, that's not listening. And if we are listening in order to try to learn something, we might find that to be threatening, because then we're into the position of being called upon to change. So, yep, I agree, Gary. It seemed to me, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, someplace in there, the swing in our elected representatives to Congress, they went in deliberately to not listen, but to be obstructive. Many years ago, I used to listen to Ted Kennedy and Robert Dole face off on WTOP. They had a very short program. I think it was at noontime, and it seemed like they tried to be as extreme as they possibly could, and it got ridiculous. And now it just seems that politics is all that much worse. There's an element of age there, Gary, and I think there's also an element of other aspects of our experiences. I think that it is probably true that those with military experience, for example, will be better trained in listening and in respect. There are some other cultures where that would also be true. in our culture, it's money that gains respect. Sometimes. Just noticed I have a note here. Well, I don't know how that one came up. That one's really odd. I don't see anything there to tell me why it would have been up there. I must have just hit the bottom of the screen and it brought up a note. Try to set my phone where I can see it in case a note does come in. But repeating the last three words. That might be a helpful start. I think one of the pieces that I was trained in, one of the classes I took somewhere along the line was, instead of responding or reacting to what was said, paraphrase what the person just said. Say something like, if I'm hearing you, you said this. Or I think if I'm understanding you, what you're trying to say, active listening. It's a skill, something that you have to practice. I think another good bit of training that all of us could probably benefit from is debate. And in debate, you're trained to take the opposite position, argue for it as best you can, and if we learn to do that, then maybe we can actually hear what the different viewpoints are, instead of just allowing them to trigger us. Asha had mentioned the idea of the church needing everyone. We're all being unique, and that was part of our reading from 1 Corinthians today, how God distributes gifts throughout humanity, and all of those differences are needed in order to have a healthy system, a healthy body, a healthy church. So In a different place, Paul says, the eye can't say to the hand, I have no need of you. I saw this morning, and I wanted to share it. It's a prayer from Carol Gallagher, and I think she is Episcopal. I think I see her posts a lot on one of the Episcopal pages that I follow. But that's really irrelevant, I guess. She writes good stuff. That's the point. And so this is a Sunday prayer for Pentecost, and she has offered it. You're free to use and share this, she says. So, dear Lord, who dwells both among and beyond, your people are aching for a new spirit. The streets are filled with anger and injustice. Folks are loudly crying out to be heard. You know this world is filled with corruption, is sidled up to the weak and vulnerable. Jesus knew all too well what greed can do, what uncontrolled power does to weak ones. Send your Spirit upon in a blaze of fire. Burn away the cruelty, lies, and hate. Infuse us with new hearts and minds. Let us be remade in your image alone. Empower us to serve even as we weep. Strengthen us to listen even when we fear. Incite us to gather up the broken and lost and be reborn, Lord Jesus, in the church today. I'll go ahead and copy and paste this into the notes below so that it's available for you all. So there it is. Okay. Earlier I mentioned keeping Betty in prayer. I just got another text from Amy. Betty is awake, and she is aware that she has had a stroke and can respond to questions with a nod of her head. But it's going to be a process for her. So, like I said, Amy's had a lot going on in the past couple of weeks. So, give her a call. Amy says, looks like they'll be taking the tube out later. I'm assuming that that's a trach, but I'm not sure. Trach or breathing tube. I guess the trach actually goes through here. It was probably the other type. And once again, that's just an assumption on my part. I know that all of you know and have appreciated the ministry of Avis Hoyt O'Connor. She's subbed for me a couple of times, at least a couple of times when I've been on vacation. This week she made a post about Montgomery Hospice. They had a carry-out breakfast this past Friday as a fundraiser at the original Pancake House in Rockville or Bethesda, and the proceeds were to support the cost of purchasing some much-needed additional personal protective equipment for the staff at Montgomery Hospice. If you'd like to help that organization, it's an appeal that Avis has put out. So well, maybe I'll close with this one. There's I share with you from time to time new hymns that have been written by Carolyn Winfrey Gillette, and she has one for this week. In church we learn of service, and it's set to the same tune as the Day of Resurrection. In church we learn of service and making sacrifice. The preacher gives the challenge. We give our lives to Christ. We hear the call to action, to take on mighty tasks. God, may we be willing to simply put on masks. Our mission is to serve you, to live for Christ each day. He taught us how to follow your gentle, loving way. For Jesus bowed in service and died to make us new. May we, your church, be willing to serve our neighbors too. My neighbor may be hurting in ways I cannot tell. My neighbor may have cancer and struggle to be well. My neighbor may be older and fighting some disease. God, help me to be loving to neighbors such as these. It may seem inconvenient to do this simple thing, and some will call us fearful of what disease will bring. But love's our motivation, not politics or fear. Your Spirit gives us courage to serve our neighbors here. In church, on Mission Sundays, the preacher gives the call. If you would follow Jesus, you must give him your all. We hear the call to serve him, to do all that he asks. So may we love our neighbors by putting on our masks. Carolyn Winfrey Gillette. In church, we learn of service. You can find her hymns on her website. I'll put a link in the notes below to her website and her email. And she has a note with this hymn. Please share this hymn with permission for its free use with pastors, church musicians, and other worship planners. So another note down below for finding more from Carolyn Winfrey Gillette. And she is on Facebook as well. the reason I'm doing the head dodge thing is I have positioned my camera in a new location to try to give a little bit better direct eye contact. I've got it right dead in front of my monitor. And so I have a two-monitor setup, so I have it right dead in front of one of my monitors. And so sometimes I have to do a head dodge thing in order to see around it. Well, anything else, anyone? If not, I think I'm going to go upstairs and get a cup of coffee and have my breakfast. So, I have 4 people still here. If there's anything on your mind, now's the time to say it. Type it. Send me a text. I'll check my email once more. Well, I just found an email from Darlene. She said she was having trouble finding me. I'll send her a note. So, thank you, Asha. Charity. You all have a good day, a good week. And as I've been saying a lot lately, may grace and peace be yours in abundance. Talk to you again soon.